Hello and welcome. Thanks for joining us for our monthly installment of RecTalks. We're excited to have you all here, and we're excited to introduce our panelists for tonight. Before we dive in, just want to give you a little background on RecTalks. These are informative and influential discussions with experts in the industry of sport, recreation, physical education, and wellness. These are hosted by Duke Recreation and Physical Education, and our goal is to provide resources and information that promotes the physical, environmental, and mental well-being of our global community. We also want to give a shout out to our series sponsor, Hydro Flask, for supporting these discussions. At the end of the session, you'll receive a poll to provide some feedback on today's discussion. Be sure to complete that to be entered into a raffle to win a prize from Hydro Flask. So y'all, my name is Chris Hendricks. I'm the director for Outdoor Adventures here with Duke Rec and PE, and I'm really excited to introduce tonight's panel. We've got a really great group of folks to talk about our topic tonight of technology, of recreation and fitness. So let's go ahead and dive right in. And Edwin, if you want to introduce yourself first.
Yes. Hi, my name is Edwin Molina. I use pronoun he, him, his, and I am the IT specialist for Duke Recreation and Physical Education.
Great. Thanks, Edwin. Eric, why don't you go next?
Hey, Chris. Edwin, thanks for having me on. Nice to meet you, Ivana. So my name is Eric Jansen, the co-founder and CEO of Resume. We are a Cambridge, Massachusetts-based company, and our mission is to harness the power of virtual reality to motivate you to get the exercise you need. And we're primarily targeted toward consumers who have difficulty getting themselves to work out as much as they know they should. And so we give them something fun to do, and they get their exercise as a side effect of using our VR applications.
Wow, that's really cool. Ivana, how about you?
Great to meet you guys. My name is Ivana Dumignan. I was the CEO and co-founder of Fathom AI, a technology company that took your bio data and your training history, put it together with some machine learning, and created experiences that looked and felt like working with a one-on-one personal coach. Recently been acquired by Equinox, and now am director of product for guidance and automation at Equinox. So great to be here. I'm excited to talk about all things rec and fitness.
We have to mention that Ivana is an alumni of our program as well. So really excited to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
So before we really dive into this, we just want to start by acknowledging that technology is a really broad topic. It goes much further than the digital technologies that we often think about. And when we really think about it, there's technology surrounding us, the technology that goes into the equipment that we utilize in our recreation centers, the lighting, the flooring, the sound systems. As an outdoor adventures person, the technology that has gone into climbing walls and ultralight camping equipment. It surrounds us. It's the equipment that we see in aquatic centers with UV lights. It's all a result of advancing technologies. So our conversation tonight may focus, more on the digital technologies, but I think it's important to recognize and acknowledgement, the advancement of technology that we've seen throughout our buildings and our university campuses, and how that has impacted how we operate and how we serve our communities. So our first question tonight, Edwin, we'll start with you. If you could just tell us, in the work that you do, how do you see technology intersecting with recreation and fitness?
Well, I joined Rec almost 4 years ago, and the main purpose was to serve our faculty and staff to habilitate technology, primarily to facilitate, programs and teaching. But as being the resident technologist, I've been integrated and get to know what Rec is all about. It is not, just a gym. It's a conglomerate of people serving, and our ultimate goal is to create communities and to change lives. And one of the unofficial mandates was to take us out of the 1980s. And what can we do to use technology that is unobtrusive to motivate people to break barriers, be barriers from language, from people from different walks of life or interests. So they come and rediscover Rec and find people with common interests and get motivated and have an adventure, have an experience that will literally change their lives.
Mhm.
So through all this path, a common theme has been, working with the directors and coordinators and finding technological tools to help them concentrate in their mission, be fitness, aquatics, outdoor adventures, sports clubs, intramurals, and allowing them to facilitate communication, facilitate, integration, and how to make it so it's not intrusive. So when we get alumni who have a flip phone, they can still enjoy the facility and have an experience. But our younger demographics, the new students, they're technologically savvy and they're hungry. How can we communicate more efficient? How can we keep digital records? And ultimate, how can we serve them better? So our objective has always been introduce technology with a purpose. So it's not, hey, let's have this because it's just cool to me, but it's something that that everybody can say, hey, this is a useful tool. Let's use it, let's embrace it, and move Rec towards the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And Eric, you kind of touched on this in your intro, but I'm interested to hear how you have observed, technology intersecting with recreation and fitness.
Well, I can speak probably more specifically to, we had an installation of VZ Fit there at Duke, right? And feedback I heard was that, it's working as advertised, right? So students, particularly young people, are really captivated by this idea of playing what are effectively video games, except they're in VR. And they range from things like you might think of in VR, like riding a bike, right? So you're pedaling a bike in the real world, you're pedaling a bike in VR. But we also have you pedaling a Pegasus through the air. You're flying under your own power, or you're racing Formula One race cars, or you're battling in tanks, right? And this can be multiplayer games. And the reason we think that the VR turns out to be such a powerful tool in a medium, I would describe it as a motivator for fitness, is that you are so wrapped up and engaged in these activities that you kind of lose track of the fact that you're working out, that you're sweating and your heart rate is up and you're losing calories. And I think for students, it fits particularly well with their, they grew up playing games, right? I think the current demographic is about 98% of them play a game every day of some sort, mobile or PC. So this is kind of what they would prefer to be doing. The fact that they're getting exercise doing it makes it doubly better, doubly good, as you could say. So, you've probably heard of esports. Esports is not a particularly healthy activity. It's very engaging. It's very competitive, but you're not moving. And so what VZ Fit can do is kind of combine the best of both worlds. It's competitive, it's gaming, and it's exercise.
Absolutely. And Ivana, I mean, you've really kind of built a company around this question. So I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, absolutely. This is really helpful to see kind of your answers, because I think we all come at it from a slightly different perspective. The way that I've really intersected with technology and fitness thus far has really been around a handful of jobs in a member's life, in a user's life. But usually the kind of experience that I've had has really been about how do you use technology to help an individual, number one, fulfill a sense of self, and number two, form and maintain a habit that aligns with an intention they have. No one is going to engage with recreation or fitness if they themselves don't see the benefit to that. No one's going to come into the gym or the rec center while they're in pre-contemplation phase. They've already gone through in their minds the reasons why they want to or should or like to exercise. Engage in fitness, engage in recreation. What where I think the tremendous power of technology lies in my world is really in understanding and categorizing and quantifying that person's intentions, rewards systems, motivators, barriers, and helping them navigate their fitness ecosystem, helping them navigate their fitness world to arrive at the experience, solution, routine regimen that helps them act in a way that's in accordance with their intentions and in accordance with their perception of self. We know that there are so many psychological benefits as well as physiological benefits to exercise. The way I love to use data, AI, and technology more broadly to just enable people to live the version of their lives that they wish they could if they didn't have, if they had full autonomy and control over their habits, right? So I hope that was
That's pretty cool.
sufficient.
Yeah, I think it's especially cool because I think it really kind of tied together everything that folks said. Edwin kind of started this off with technology with a purpose, and Eric has really touched on how we can use technology to supplement some of the things and encourage folks to explore new opportunities. And then you kind of tie it together with how we can really use this as a reward system and understanding what our motivations are. I think that's really powerful. And, once we kind of start framing it like this, I think it makes us think a little bit about these technologies differently.
And just a little kind of lob up to Edwin, touching on some of the things that you said, the fitness is not just about an outcome. It's about the community. It's about connections. And so it's this acknowledgement that what we look for when we step into a gym or a fitness center is vastly different for different people. For some, it's about the tribe, the social reward systems. For some, it's self-actualization. For others, it's something else. And it's understanding, acknowledging, and supporting us in all of our individual facets that we need in this fitness journey. It's hard, but for the first time in history, we have the computational power and behavioral psych research to make it happen, to bring it all together.
I would like to add to that like you mentioned, fitness is not just about getting fit, but I will expand it that rec as is fitness is a component of rec. Like, for example, I'm a technologist, and when I arrived in rec, I had no idea what rec was, like literally. And one of the things that shocked me the most is when the director of sports club he invited me to this function, and I thought that it was for me to work the audio visuals and the technology. And when I got here, he was like, "No, we want you to sit and enjoy." I'm like, "What?" So I went there with no idea, and then it was the banquet, and they were celebrating all the things that the sports club was doing, and the students were communicating how their lives have been changed for the better by not only teamwork but like. I remember a story of this super bad camping trip that turned to be the best camping trip ever because things went wrong and they figured out how to do. And then how the students tried to figure out, in another event, different things. And these are the experience that, as an alumni, you forget your biochem class 5 years later, and you remember, and you're like, when I was doing this thing with my people, with my tribe, and we were doing studying or relaxing, and rec brings that. And that's one of the things that it's my personal goal to see what I can bring with technology to add to that spice that the directors and coordinators already bring to the team. So I am with you 100%.
You unknowingly just triggered a memory of a camping trip that I had while at Duke, where we were flash flooded out of our tents in the middle of the night. And that was one of the most memorable experiences, one of the best bonding moments that I've had with a small group of people ever. And we need more of that in our adult lives outside of the campus setting.
Agreed. Awesome. I love it. So, let's see, Eric, you've kind of, touched on this and are involved in, in one of the big trends right now, but The question I have is, what trends or recent technological advances have you seen that are really making a significant impact on the recreation and fitness industry?
Active connected fitness. It's been led by Peloton. The whole concept that the content that's actually motivating you doesn't necessarily originate inside that space.
Mm-hmm.
It could be based anywhere in the world, and maybe even more important, that the other people that you interact with don't necessarily need to be in that space either. They can be in other campuses and in other places, and you can create virtual social communities that people find as engaging and as motivating, and sometimes more so than if they were just restricted to the options of other people to work out with. Working out with other people is very important. Most people don't want to be exercising by themselves and won't. They really need the company, motivation, camaraderie of other people. And here's a way to expand and extend that way beyond geographical boundaries.
Yeah, absolutely. And I, if anything, the past year and a half has really advanced that and shown us what we can do and the impact that can have. Ivana, what do you think?
Yeah, well, I will just first echo, exactly what Eric said. It's those are incredibly impactful elements of our experience in fitness and technology. And I think like adding to, so yes, and to that is, some of the most vital infrastructure for creating meaningful experiences from a physiological as well as a social level is better personalization.
Yeah.
Where really kind of the realm that I've worked in is how do we take experiences that have been relegated to a very small few, right? Very, at the first incarnation of our technology, we were actually working with NBA and MLS and NFL teams and players, NCAA Division I teams. And this is the top of the top, the best sports training, the best care, the best PT, the best everything. And what technology really has allowed us to do over the course of the last few years, like genuinely last 5 or so years, is make more of that type of expertise, information, practice available to more people. And a really simple thing is now there's people foam rolling in gyms. That just didn't happen before. And there's structure to how we do that. And I think that what we're seeing is this new level of actual physiology-based, outcome-based personalization, biodata-driven based personalization that's emerging. It really has, in my mind, 3 tiers, 3 levels. There's data, which, as Eric alluded to, is this prevalence of, yes, more connected devices, more of these things, but the ability to actually synthesize and feature enrich existing metadata sets, which is way too nerdy, and we will not go any further than that, I promise. Number 2 is the ability to interpret that data now at scale and with resolution, especially as it gets more and more detailed, rich. And that interpretation ability has really come twofold with one, cloud computation, hooray. But 2, with really the availability and more expertise crossing the aisle from research into productization. This has been a really important kind of continued trend to make sure that we can turn data into something. And the last level is automation. And this is not a technology per se, but I think we've seen truly tremendous capabilities unlocked here simply by adapting and adopting product mindsets to fitness. And that's relatively new. Not many people realize that like product is only like a 10-year-old industry or something like that. It's like a new way of thinking. It's a value-based way of thinking. And it's really sort of the cherry on top that makes the automation layer, or how we take what we interpret from your data and turn it into what next, what now for this individual, it takes a really deep understanding, not just of technology, but of the use cases, the psychographics, the person behind the screen, the phone screen, or behind the bike, or behind the membership. So really bringing all of these things together.
Yeah, I love it. Edwin, what do you think?
Well, while Eric and Ivana see technology and the uses and look into rec, I look into rec outside the technology. So for example, we started adopting technology to facilitate access and entry, to allow people to easier see the programs, the fitness classes, the camping trips, the aquatics times, and then we move forward into how can we secure the facility and maximize the technology. Integration with work that is being done in Duke. For example, Duke was the test bed for Apple's wallet campus ID in the world, and we were in the middle of that fray. And because we see normally, well, pre-COVID, we see an average of 20,000 visitors per week. So we needed to adapt quickly. So we are into scanning, QR codes, 3D printing. We 3D print things in here in a rush, not only to play, but to adapt. And figure out how we can, if we need a new terminal, iPads, and then we start moving forward into what I call fantasy projects. Like for our celebration in 2020 of the 20th anniversary of Wilson, with OIT and some students, we develop an augmented reality application, Duke Rec TV. And then we start experimenting with the question, can we use virtual reality to promote mental and physical fitness? And that's when, I joined forces with Eric and VistaFit. And then we start doing logistical experiments. Will people like it? Will people be attracted to that technology? How about hygiene? Usage. Will people like to sweat with that? And we took the scientific data that VistaFit had generated from Cambridge and then expanded on it and asked those questions. And now we are in a moment of history. Well, just before COVID, we were like almost ready to launch the next phase. And then, COVID, everything halted and made us think. And VR technology, and Eric can tell you, if you think technology is fast, VR is faster. I mean, it's just mind-blowing the speed. And there are many players worldwide, but the community is tight knit, and it's been very interesting because this effort, in conjunction with OIT, we are in communications with the developer group in Facebook, and also with NeoPico, and with HTC Vive, and these are the top players, and we are in one-to-one conversation. Same thing with software developers, not only Eric, but we also have connections with software developers in Spain, Australia. And these are people that are creating different facets of technology that we can say, hey, we can use this not only to showcase, a new way to work out or a new way to sweat, but a new way to connect. And for example, there's this in VR, there's this software called The Climb, and it's a virtual climbing simulator. And when it came out, we acquired it, and it happened that there was an activity that you created, Chris, for the climbers, and it was a great meet. And I just brought it in, and they were like, wow, this is really different, but it's really cool. We like it. So then it sparks the question, can we use that software to bring people that have never climbed, that is terrified of the wall, just to see and experience that, and then show them the gear and see, hey, you don't have to climb all the way to the top. But then they meet the community of climbers, and can they connect? Can they make that human connection? If eventually they stop using the VR for climbing, it's perfectly fine because they have found the niche. Personally, I can testify. 3 minutes of cardio? No way. But with VisiFit, I managed to, when I was doing experiments, 20 minutes. And it's like, oh, wait, I'm supposed to be testing. I need to stop because I found it personally engaging because I'm a geek. Then we start seeing that connection. That, for example, Rec is really big. And we have people from all sorts of life, students, faculty, staff, alumni, affiliates, visitors that see us. But they are, because Duke has so many things to offer, and this happened in a lot of universities, some students may lose the perspective of different places, including Rec. And then that's where we see diversity and inclusion. Like, for example, students that are in comp sci, computer science major, they may forget about Rec. So how can we use carrot and stick, just mainly the carrot, bring technology? Hey, are you interested in augmented reality? Are you interested in QR codes? Are you interested in mobile application? Are you interested in VR? We are using this for this purpose. Come and join the party. They come for the technology. They see, hey, this is a welcoming place. And then they start experimenting. Oh, I can go to the pool, or, I can play some basketball. Oh, they do these meets, or, hey, they have camping gear. It is amazing how many people, even the regulars, who tell them, hey, you can go camping in this break. And they go like, you guys rent gear. It's like, yep, we do. Just ask for it. And it's about building communities. And the rec environment, not only in Duke, but in my experience with other universities, they tend to reach to many of their on-campus partners, multicultural affairs, Center for Sexual and Gender Diversity, wellness center, and different places that cater to different populations. And we can use technology to bring them together so they can continue to do their own activities, but they can also think of Rec as their own home or the annex of their building. And that has been something that has been very forefront in my mind, to use technology for that.
Yeah, I think that's huge. And I think you really touched on one of the greatest benefits of technologies, our ability to expand our reach and to engage outside of our four walls and really, have an experience with folks before they even step into our facility. But I'm curious of what you all think as far as thinking about a recreation center, a university recreation center, a fitness center. What are some ways that we can adapt and implement these technologies? And I think, Edwin, you've touched on this a lot, but what other ways can we implement this technology to further increase the impact within our communities? Eric, what do you think?
Well, one of the ways the primary way that people use a product is individually, but they also use it in multiplayer. I just want to convey, an experience I had when I was, during lockdown. It was kind of early in the pandemic, and we were stuck at home. And it was all well and fine. I was able to ride. One of our products is called Explorer, and it uses 10 million miles of Google Street View data. You can travel anywhere in the world. You can ride down a beautiful bright sunny road in Norway, and then switch over and start riding around in Japan. And that's all well and fine, but you kind of miss riding with your friends. So there is a multiplayer capability. And I just remember one particular time I get on and I'm riding along and I'm joined by this guy. He turns out to be in Italy, and he runs a software company in Milan. And he's in the exact same situation as me, been in lockdown. As you probably remember, they had a really tough time in Italy for a while there. So he hadn't been able to go into the office for a while. And anyway, we just had a great time getting, meeting people. And I just want to say that meeting, we all have this, need to meet people and get to know people and have that, have that opportunity. And again, to have that extend beyond, the walls. And to think of Rec as maybe kind of as a non-geographic concept. It can be spread around across different campuses and between dorm rooms and campuses, and it can be it's not physically constrained.
Yeah,
One of the things that I wanted to share, I made a small video compilation for the folks that do not know about VR, and if it's okay, I would like to show. It's a little fun. The video is it will show the trailer. It is concentrating 3 VR softwares. First, you will see the trailer for Visit Fit as it is released now, and then there are some. It will be followed by a series of our initial test runs with some prototypes that when we did it in 2019. Then you will see the trailer for Thrill of the Fight, which is a VR boxing simulator. And then one of the tests that we did with one of our students, with Ahmed. And then finally, the trailer for O-Shape, which is body movement, rhythm game. And then the test that we did with one of the students that was helping us with the test, with Amanda. So hold on, let me go ahead and share that screen and okay.
I want to do this for like 5 minutes. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, we're sweat here. Oh my. Okay.
So now that you are a little bit used to it, does it feel way too weird?
No, not at all. It feels awesome. Wow, this is so fun. I want to do this all the time.
There you go.
Don't let it go.
Here you go. Yeah, buddy. Oh yeah. There you go.
You like it?
I like it, man. I can play this game for a long time. As long as I have to keep adjusting it.
Yeah. So you can flip the visor up if you want.
Oh.
Disappointing. You can jab him, remember. So you tend to hook. You did good, man. You may put him down. Oh my God. Come on, quickly, before you lose. Can you put him down? Can we witness the first win ever in Duke University in VR boxing? Come on, TTD. Come on. Oh my God. Saved by the bell. Do-do-do-do.
I thought I had him.
Me too. So how are you feeling?
I was worried out.
Keep on working it out every single day. We keep on rocking it on like this until that day begins. Old tricks start wearing thin. I'll just keep on hustling. Everybody gotta roll on. Everybody gotta rock on. Everybody gotta switch on. You got to get turned on. Keep on keeping on, keep on hustling. Keep on keeping on, keep on hustling. Oh, keep on working it out every single day. We keep on rocking it on like this until that day begins. Old tricks start wearing thin. I'll just keep on hustling. Everybody gotta roll on. Everybody gotta rock on. Everybody gotta switch on. You got to get turned on. Old tricks start wearing thin. I'll just keep on hustling. Everybody gotta roll on. Everybody gotta rock on. Everybody gotta switch on. You got to get turned on. Keep on keeping on, keep on hustling. Keep on keeping on hustling. Oh.
So those were a little fun demos. And to return to your question, by creating different activities and using technology that allow us to reach the different groups on campus, we directly tackle the question of diversity, equity, and inclusion. By reaching those on-campus groups that may not see REC as the welcome environment that it is, and allow us to present, new and fun ways to do. It is basically like when REC they do tabling, but instead of just having a table with brochures, we can create activities, and those are the ones that are effective. Like, for example, when our staff plans wellness day and they do lawn games outside, then they see this is REC, this is what REC does. And then when we do, put the camping gear outside, and or when they used to do tenting, and it's very important that we as REC professionals use the different technologies and bring it in and invite them to use. And then as the professionals, then we can use either the data that we gather through applications to see what we can do to help them. Like when I was researching the Evonos application, it sparked curiosity as a technology. So it's like, how many people may have a slight injury, nothing life-threatening, but then they decide to stop coming or working out. Can such application not only allows them to get better, which is the primary goal, but allow them to regain confidence? With technology, by bringing and creating cohorts of people that like the different activity, can they find that emotional connection and then emotional support? Like I enjoyed that the first time that I went to the wall, and the staff was always welcoming, and it was not like, oh, this is the old dude, what the hell's doing here, the computer guy. No, they were really encouraging, and I'm like, if I was looking for something, this would be my thing. But it was not that much the climbing, it was the people, because then I saw it when people were playing basketball and I was just talking to them. And the same thing with the swimmers. And I'm like, wait a second, it's not the recreation that we're doing, it's how we're doing that recreation.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
To the point of your question, that is that point that I found very interesting. How we can reach those communities that self-isolate by race or gender or religion.
Yeah.
We had the opportunity to, I was invited by Muslim Line live, he's the chaplain, to participate in their jama, in their social after they finish the religious ceremony. And, you know, I was there and I was really happy listening to everything, personal growth. But then after that, we did VR and we did different things. We participate to engage with Do Well, which is the wellness organization here in Duke that focuses on student wellness. And we show them VisiFit. We show them the different aspect of meditation. And they're like, this is different. This is a tool. We'll never replace a therapist or somebody to guide you. But for somebody that may not want to or incapable of meditating because their mind wanders like me, in VR, they can open their eyes and suddenly they are on that place. They're hearing that voice and they're guiding them. Mm-hmm. And can it be accessible? Can we make it so we can reach other places? And it's not only, you know, in the case of VR, but we have done it, and that's the trick. If you have an application, if you have your website, there are tools that we can use, QR codes, to facilitate the people to come in. Translation, machine learning.
Right.
So it's just all those things that we technologies understand and we can bring to Rec, so Rec can continue doing their thing, their magic.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, and Ivana, you've talked about this, you know, from a high level athlete perspective, but you've also talked about, you know, how your technology can be used to understand the member experience, to understand the motivations. So how do you kind of see that playing in as, you know, as like an administrator or director of a recreation or a fitness center?
Could you double click into that for me? Say more.
Yeah. So, you know, like in what ways the advanced technologies and the AI that your company has explored, how can we use that to better understand, you know, the motivation and the intention behind the user experience?
It's a really good question. You know, there's technology in itself doesn't necessarily facilitate that. But what you'll find is products that are and technologies that are thinking about these things, they'll incorporate opportunities to get to know members, questionnaires, surveys. You know, we specifically used research published by a professor named Kelman to try to understand like psychological stress and how that changes over time. And so it's really not a mystery. It's just about understanding and synthesizing kind of the scientific research that other very highly intelligent people out there are doing, and trying to turn it into experiences and technology that can help us understand our members, us understand our users, and then put them on the pathways or offer up the solutions that they're looking for to create a habit, reinforce a habit, or just connect them with the right products or services. So one example is, you know, we at Fathom, as a startup, we targeted a really kind of focused set of psychographics. As a startup, we were focusing on individuals that had a set of basically points of confusion or fear. It's usually around, in the direct-to-consumer setting, it was around, I want to start a habit but don't know what to do. I have an ache or a pain and I don't know if it's normal. I'm feeling really, really bad after my workout and I think I know that I should stretch, but I don't know what that looks or feels like. So we had these kind of sets of intentions that you're coming to our app, and eventually in the next evolution of our product, our client's app, right? We worked with products like Orange Theory, Nike Training Club, and a handful of like endurance training platforms. And the member is always coming in with an intention. And so the experience you create around that to help understand, you know, what to give them or their psychology in that point in time, it really starts with understanding their intention. And that's where you start to kind of getting into their intention, their reward systems, their motivators, their barriers. And barriers are simple things. It's like time, money, energy, mental, brain cycles. And so you just slowly start to optimize for these things, and you don't have to be a technologist to do it. You know, these are principles that you can implement in your club without necessarily having to bring in an AI platform.
Yep.
Think about the jobs that your members, that your users are coming to your facility to serve. And you can optimize for those jobs iteratively. You know, how do we help members make meaningful human connections? How do we help members get fit? You know, how do we help members in points where they might have confusion or fear? I have an outcome that I want to reach. I don't know how to reach it. And there's a lot of mechanization that you can do to start testing those jobs in a manual way before you start looking at, do I bring in a software solution to do X, Y, or Z? So.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's phenomenal. So you kind of touched on it, and I think we'd be remiss if we didn't acknowledge that there are barriers, right? Everything that we've talked about are significant benefits and really add to the overall experience, but there's barriers to this. So I guess my question is, what are some of those barriers? And Ivana, you've already touched on some of these, but maybe also, how do we address these as we look to incorporate this into our programs, our services, our facilities, and our experiences? So Eric, do you want to jump in on this one?
To clarify, you mean barriers, things that are preventing people from yeah. So, I mean, early on, for our user community, they're pretty easy to identify because they're so common among all of us from time to time. Most common one being, of course, I'm busy, or but usually the thought process is generally not the same excuse over and over again, because there's plenty of them. But way in the back of your mind, there's kind of this strong feeling of should, and that sort of that should thing in your mind is the biggest problem, I think, because it kind of, even if you want to do it, sometimes the voice thing, you should do it, sort of drowns that out, right? And then you don't want to do it. So what we've tried to do is the way that we talk to our customers, and what we encourage is for people to think, just kind of give yourself a break. If you don't feel like doing it, there's probably a good reason. It's not your fault. Maybe you just haven't found something that you really find enjoyable and satisfying. I mean, the way I came to this, I'm a cyclist, and I don't ride a bike to get exercise. I ride bikes because I just love it. Just, to me, it's the next best thing to flying that a human being can do under their own power. So I just think they're magical. And, I just had this thought that VR might be the same, but in a different way. It might be a kind of experience that people are drawn to, and they find themselves wanting to go do it. So there's no should in there. It's just they want to go get back in there and ride around in Norway, or tank battle, or whatever it is that they really enjoy. And yeah, they start to notice after a few weeks that they've lost weight and they're more energy, and the usual results of getting regular exercise. And then that's then they start to kind of reinforce each other. Right? That's what we find.
Yeah.
That's I think that's pretty powerful.
I'm with you on that too. I love the kind of analogy of cycling is, the next, it is almost as great as flying. I wholeheartedly agree with that. Ivana, what do you think?
I love cycling as well. What do you mean? I'm actually an avid climber, so I'm just kidding. Everything that you're saying, Eric, is like definitely resonating. And I think what I'll leave viewers with is a handful of terms to Google, because we've kind of come to behavioral change and what motivates those voices in your head that say I should, but, and what have you. And there are dozens of behavioral change models, methodologies, and techniques out there. There's like over 40 in our arsenal that we use. But a great place for people who are interested in getting started, interested in understanding motivators and reward systems and stages of contemplation and action, for example, would be to Google trans-theoretical behavior change model. That's a great one to help you understand and contextualize the different phases that people go through when they're trying to make a change, when they are trying to form a habit, how they relapse from that habit, and really the best things to provide your members as they go through those stages. Is it educational materials? Is it encouragement and support, etc.? The next one is there's a book published by Nir et al. That's called Hook, Hook. There are a lot of resources and blogs around this methodology, but it centers around the kind of primary question of how do you nudge a person along to forming a habit? And Hook has, what is the trigger? What is the thing that incites you, that you as a person are seeking, that incites you into an action, the action phase itself, the reward, kind of achieving the thing that you are seeking, and then the investment, the thing that loads the next trigger and helps you come back. And so just understanding and familiarizing yourself with some of these principles can start giving you, is like I would probably say is a good entry point to starting to understand the psychology of behavior change and habit formation. Really good points. And I warn you, they're a rabbit hole. You will start learning all 44 of them and more, as someone did. But really good places to start, like initial introductory resources.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Go ahead, Evan.
I think that for recreation centers, you can classify the barriers in two. One, the technology itself. As technology, it moves forward so fast, you need a technologist that can do the research and see what applies. And then the second barrier to adapting this technology is the cultural normal barriers that you can see across the board regardless of the subject. So for example, you tend to see a disparity between people in different ages or their access and knowledge of technology. So they see the new technology and they have an inertia. So how can the recreation centers cater to this community? Like their faculty and staff may not want to use QR codes. So how do we approach them with the carrot? Hey, scan this QR code, get a free T-shirt. And then how can we make the technology fun? Like I have this crazy idea for our next Rec Fest, we should do T-shirts with flowers, but the flowers are QR codes. And when you scan that QR code, you see a video of something that is happening in Rec. So now you have an interactive T-shirt and something that you can hang in. Or then you see the people when they segregate or self-segregate in their different communities and silos, using the technology to reach them and break those barriers. There's the financial barrier myth. If it's technology, it's expensive. Not necessarily. Like you think of VR and you're like, oh my God, that's so expensive. And the Oculus Quest now is as cheap as $250. So when you think about it, then you can start experimenting, and Rec as an organization, they can say, hey, we can go to the university and to the 3D printing lab, have the technology or somebody learn, use the models, recruit students that are interested in 3D printing. And it's like, hey, we have this challenge for you. Or students in ComSci that want to create an application and they don't know what to do. It's like, hey, we could use a way to showcase our personal trainers or to better showcase how to use the equipment. You have students that are interested, for example, in creating videos. Hey, create a small 30-second on how to use a cardio machine or how to use efficiently and safely the weight rack or what is the etiquette, and then use QR codes. So people that are a little bit shy like me to ask about how to use that equipment, they can secretly take their phone and click, Now they feel confident to go ahead and approach the staff. So those are barriers that we see in rec that we see commonly through the tech industry, but that we need to focus on defeating.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say that the name of that barrier is called social deviance. Isn't that fun? All right.
We should make t-shirts.
Yeah, this has been phenomenal. I have to admit, I was a little nervous coming into this. This isn't my world, and that's why I'm so grateful to have Edwin here. But I've learned so much from you all, and if anything, I think this past year has really opened our eyes to what this can do and the ways that this can create more accessibility around what we're doing, generate more awareness, and really complement the things that we're doing. So thank you all for the time. We really appreciate it. And hopefully we'll talk again sometime soon.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Thank y'all.